right, hey guys, welcome to another update and a video with some new thoughts and ideas about specifically the coronavirus and what it might be doing to you OCD sufferers out there, myself included in that. My name's Brian. I got my corona beard going here. I haven't shaved in a few weeks. Anyway, I made a video a few weeks ago, and now we know a little bit more, and I've also put some more time and thought into what the appropriate response from OCD sufferers in light of this pandemic should be. And the truth is, guys, there's a lot of opportunity here. Anytime we're dealing with any type of OCD, exposures are opportunities. I've mentioned that in a bunch of my other videos before. And so we're in a strange situation here in that the threat and the possibility of actually contracting the COVID-19 is real, and by some estimates most people are going to get it. Okay, so just to lay out some facts about so far as what my updated information as of today is April 2nd, I think. Who knows? I've been in the house for 3 weeks now. I'm losing track of time. But so here are some of the facts. This thing seems to be highly transmissible, and the more we learn about it, it seems to be more transmissible. Okay? That's bad news for us OCD people. The mortality rate does seem to have dropped as more people have gotten tested. It seems to be affecting mostly older people and immunocompromised people, although there are young people that are seemingly healthy with no underlying issues that are dying from it. Now, ultimately, what most OCD sufferers fear is, if this is your fear, if contamination and getting sick and possibly dying from a disease is your fear, this is a very real one. Okay, but that brings me back to what I was saying earlier. This is an opportunity, because if you're like me, if you're living in the United States or living in a country where basically you have stay-at-home orders at this point, what else can you do really but stay home? So in a way, there's this sort of dichotomy between exposures and rituals that are kind of happening simultaneously. It's very ritualistic for OCD sufferers to stay at home, to wash their hands frequently, to decontaminate the house all the time. And so this is where, as an OCD sufferer, you need to start being careful. What should you do? What shouldn't you do? OCD loves these opportunities to spring back into action. OCD will absolutely take advantage of these situations. So it's very important that you have an idea of how to handle this and how not to handle this. Okay, for one, the CDC recommends washing your hands for 20 seconds. Okay, now for people who have contamination issues where hand washing is one of your big rituals, there's still some good news in that 20 seconds for you probably already feels somewhat like an exposure, because it's not as much. You say you're not satisfied after 20 seconds. So we're going to keep that as, whether that works out as an exposure for you or as a ritual for someone who's not washing at all, keep to that guidelines. So if it's 20 seconds and you still feel like you haven't gotten fully clean, that's it. That's it. So look at that like it's an exposure. It's an opportunity to sit with the anxiety and the fear that you didn't clean off the disease completely, and that you might get contaminated from it. On top of that, there doesn't need to be direct exposures that set off your OCD and your anxiety. For me, I had just come home from a retreat, and right when this thing was kind of taking foot, so I didn't have a warm-up to it. I had heard about it in China, and I had heard that there were cases in the United States. But when I got home, I mean, really, it started in full swing. And so I experienced feelings without having touched anything, without having really read anything that could have been considered an exposure. Just being exposed to the idea of this thing is a very real exposure for people with contamination fears and fears about other people getting sick or dying. Make no mistake about it, this is going to create a whole new world of OCD sufferers, people that are worried about their finances, about the health and safety of their loved ones. There are some reports of kids getting it, so people developing OCD about the health and safety of their children. But again, when I felt that overwhelming feeling of OCD that, I'll be honest with you, I haven't felt in a long time, my OCD wanted to kick in and sort of override the reasonable part, the Brian part, the part that I had worked so hard against OCD. And that's what OCD does. I mean, OCD is a virus in and of itself. It's like a superbug. You find some effective treatment, it will keep trying to find ways to override that treatment, to sneak in through the cracks. And it's smart. It's so unbelievably crafty. And like, you can never underestimate the power of OCD, because it will outsmart you if you don't know how to intellectually outsmart it. And that is the truth. So my advice would be, watch out for the difference between exposures and the difference between exposures and rituals. Okay, because again, I've mentioned this before, there's a haziness sometimes, depending on what your particular OCD is, where you might kind of trick yourself into thinking that you're doing an exposure when you're actually doing a ritual. So like, right, it might be recommended that, okay, if you're having OCD about coronavirus, maybe you watch the news and look at the death toll and see how much faster it's spreading. That might help as an exposure. It could. But at the same time, you might be looking for articles about why people in your shoes are going to be just fine. The truth here is this is a brand new theme of OCD, in that we just don't know. Like, the uncertainty on this is real. So we're all sort of in the same boat. But what I would definitely recommend is that you use that uncertainty to your benefit. Remind yourself you don't know. We're going to have to get back outside at some point and live your life again. You might get sick. You might die. You might get sick. You might die. The same threats that you have for any other type of OCD, apply those to this type of OCD. Now, for me personally, I watch the news a little bit each day, and that's enough for me to be exposed and to start to get those feelings. But knowing that there's really nothing I can do other than stay at home and wait for more information, what I'm doing with my feelings is meditating. This is an unbelievable opportunity to meditate. For most of us, we have a bunch of extra time now, so I'm meditating on my feelings, and those feelings of OCD for me have come back, and truthfully, jumping back into the treatment as I practice it, they stuck around for about a day, and then I was back to feeling pretty even-keeled, accepting the uncertainty, accepting the risk that I might get this. There's a good possibility I will get this. I hope that I'm not one of the unlucky few that really gets sick from it. But right now, we don't know what that is. Is there a genetic component? It's been theorized that there's something with people's blood type. They just don't know yet. And so use this time to continue to ward off your OCD. Don't let this be a chance for your OCD to creep back in and get stronger, because it loves this right now. It loves what's going on. Feel free to send me a message, guys. I'm still talking to a lot of people one-on-one. I have a lot more time now. My other job has been put on hold. So if you feel like you need to talk, if you have any questions, I would definitely be happy to do that. And all right, guys, take care of yourself. Wash for 20 seconds. Don't go crazy with disinfecting. If you haven't gone out of the house, don't disinfect 100 times. If you haven't gone out of the house, don't wash your hands over and over again. You know what is ritualistic, and you know what you can do as an exposure and to sit with the uncertainty. And this, so far, is the most real situation in that there's really good odds that you're going to get it. Everyone seems to be getting it. And the best you can do right now is stay home. And once the doors get back open and you get back out there, they are pretty sure that there will be a second wave of this thing. So really, there's nothing other than becoming a complete hermit, which is what we know OCD wants us to do. We have to fight against that. All right. So I'm not saying go out there and be risky at all right now, but use the opportunity when you get that feeling, that OCD feeling, whether you did an exposure or you're just thinking about the fact that you might get this thing. Use that. Remind yourself you don't know if you're going to get it. You don't know if you're going to get sick from it. And you're choosing to live with that uncertainty. You're not going to go overboard and disinfect your whole house for the 4th time today. Okay? Don't give OCD the chance to do what it's wanted to do and undermine your progress. All right. I hope that is helpful, and I'll catch up with you guys soon. Thanks.